Okay, last episode was awesome. We got lore bombs, new characters, awesome plot setups, and our boy Eren Yeager finally coming out of hiding. The hype levels I'm feeling are so insane. That's right, we got another breakdown video going on today because the last episode was too good not to do one. And there was also a lot of important info as well as subtle hints and that kind of stuff that were shared in last episode. So I will do my best as an anime-only viewer and AOT simp to break down everything that happened in the episode while also giving my 2 cents on what I think is coming next in the show. Obviously, this one started with the man Eren Yeager himself chatting to our boy Falco as we get a little bit more insight into their relationship. Falco has actually been sending a lot of his letters, and Eren specifically asks that he take them and drop them off outside of the Liberio internment camp so they don't have any potential of getting intercepted by Marleyan officers or officials. Oh, Falco, this poor kid has no idea how much he's being used. A little nod in this scene that I personally loved was when we found out Eren has been using the name Kruger or Mr. Kruger as his alias when he's posing as the traumatized soldier in the internment camp. And of course that name sounds so familiar because it was the Owl's name, who was the Eldian informant in the Marleyan government from Grisha's backstory. His name was Eren Kruger, and it's a great tie-in considering Eren is in his own right now a spy, as he is, you know, infiltrating the Liberio internment camp and sending letters back to his family, you know, as he pretends to be this traumatized soldier. But the most important thing to come out of this little relationship is because of Eren's constant chats with Falco, Falco has actually finally gained the motivation to actually try and surpass Gabby and become the next armored titan. After Eren encourages him to keep moving forward, we see Falco in a couple different scenes outpacing Gabby as they race during like a little training session in the training yard, and of course a big moment where he just outright tells Gabby that he is doing this for her. He is trying to outpace her for her own sake. It's really, really heartwarming to see Falco wanting to protect his friends from the curse of the Titans and this honestly never-ending cycle of misery that we have seen Reiner get trapped up in. And Falco is no dummy. He understands what the Marleyan government is doing. He's not someone like Gabby who's kind of succumbed to the brainwashing a little bit and, you know, seeing honor in being a Marleyan warrior. There is no honor, and we know this. The Marleyans are using your ass for war. It's really amazing to see Falco have this positivity where he's just been gloomy and pessimistic for a lot of the season, but again, at what cost? If he becomes the successor of the Armored Titan, he has the Curse of the Titans as well. Yes, he's protecting his friends, and that's a really noble thing, but it's like, buddy, you are also gonna die. It's like, it's really sad that you have to make that tough choice in the first place. We were also introduced to a major new character, or characters, I should say, in Willy Tybur and the Tybur family. The Tybur family obviously being the family that Zeke discussed before during his meeting with the other Marleyan warriors, where it was revealed that one of the members of the Tybur family is also the keeper of the Warhammer Titan. I'm gonna be real for a second. If you would have told me before this season started that the most politically and socially significant person in all of the world in Attack on Titan was going to be named Willy, I would have laughed at your ass, okay? Regardless, though, this scene teaches us just how important Willy and the Tyburs are as characters in this world. We get a little bit of a history lesson, actually, about the Tyburs and their rise to influence and how they teamed up with the great warrior Helos in the Great Titan War. And we get to learn just how influential the Tybur family really is, with first Magath making some implications that there might be a shadow government behind the scenes really running Marley, which leads to Willy outright stating that yes, the Tyburs do indeed run this bitch. Isn't it interesting, guys? The Marleyan Empire, which thinks so highly of itself, is in every way, shape, and form held together by Eldians. Their military is mostly comprised of frontline Eldian soldiers. Their advantage in war through the history of the Marleyan Empire has been through the use of the power of the Titans as well as pure Titans as weaponry, like the airdrop Titans, etc. And to top it all off, an Eldian family is running things from the shadows. I mean, the levels of hypocrisy and irony in this nation of Marley. We also have in this scene Willy acknowledging that the Tyburs have more or less left Marley to their own devices. As the head of the household, though, Willy does accept the responsibility of the Tiber's lack of involvement and says he will correct that mistake by making a big speech to the nation during the big upcoming festival, which I am so insanely hyped for. Obviously, we know that the next episode is called Declaration of War. We know of Zeke's plan that he talked about with the other warriors in their little meeting. I think we know what's coming. I think this man Willie is about to rally the troops and get everyone in the damn world to despise these islanders. Now we come to one of my favorite scenes in the entirety of Season 4, and truly one of the most important realizations we have come to in the entirety of the Attack on Titan story. Peak thick though! Also, I'm glad you guys liked that Step Bro Brazzers joke in the live reaction, because that was one of my favorite moments of last video. Now, we have a conversation between Magath and Willie that is clearly coded, as it is using a metaphor of a house to refer to the status of the Marleyan military as well as the nation as a whole. Magath expressly says in the scene that the house is in danger of collapsing, and we do know that the Marleyan newspapers have been spreading the information that the power of the Titans is becoming more and more antiquated. The era of the Titans is very quickly coming to an end. With that public perception roaming out there, it is very important that Marley tries in some way, shape, or form to reclaim their public image before everything comes crumbling down. But most importantly, in this scene, Magath states that the house has also been infested with rats, which is clearly referring to the notion that they know there are spies from the island inside of Marley. We know for an absolute fact now that Aaron is Mr. Kruger, the person who Falco has been having conversations with. If Aaron transforms during this festival and starts duking it out with Reiner in the middle of the square, like, which seems the most likely scenario, if a big battle pops off, it's going to be insane to see. Also, you start seeing people with ODM gear zipping around and killing people. It's gonna be wild. And we have another great scene with Aaron and his crazy-ass grandpa. In all seriousness, though, this was an awesome and intense moment where we got clarification on a few things, actually. The first and most important, I think, honestly, is we learned that Aaron's grandpa feels a ton of regret and remorse for everything that he did back in the past to Grisha. Not a day goes by, you know, where he doesn't regret being super hard on his son and honestly being blasé about his daughter's death. Instead of supporting his son and trying to channel that rage in a healthy way towards the people who literally killed his sister with dogs, Grisha's dad chose the path of, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get on my knees, slurp up those Marleyan officials, and tell, you know, my son how great the Marleyan Empire is. And one thing I didn't talk about in the reaction, and one thing I didn't even really think about until I rewatched it on my own and started taking notes, was the baseball moment with Aaron. This moment, we see a baseball and a baseball glove that was apparently sent to Aaron by his family. Let's rack our brains here a little bit. Who is the only person in this entire show who has a connection to baseball in some way? Professional MLB player Zeke the Beast Yeager? This actually, subtle as it may be, could be huge in the story coming up. One of the best themes of Attack on Titan Season 4 so far has been, who are the real villains, right? Or are there any villains? Is this just a world filled with pain and sorrow and war and death, right? It's like the Marleyan warriors are Eldians too. Because of this, we have to think about Zeke's involvement in potentially, you know, betraying the Marleyan Empire. Look, we do know that Zeke has been keeping secrets, or at the very least keeping a lot of information from the Marleyan government and Marleyan officials. We know that for a fact after Season 4, Episode 2, where he was hesitant to speak about certain topics in that room that he knew was bugged. It seems so insane and impossible, right? I mean, this is a guy who literally pitched a perfect game, or almost a perfect game, and killed every member of the damn Survey Corps. Like, could he really be against the Marleyan Empire? But we also have to acknowledge that this is Attack on Titan. This show is literally built on the concept of everything is not as it seems. That is how this show works. So yes, Zeke looks like a straight up Marleyan simp, and I still truly believe that he is one. I can't see him being a double agent at this stage in the game. But this is Attack on Titan. We can't take anything at face value. I mean, look at what was revealed in this very episode. We learned that the Tiber family and Eldian, people of the Eldian bloodline are running the entire nation of Marley. Like, that is a great example of this show in general. There are so many things that happen on the surface that isn't actually what's happening behind the scenes. The last scene I want to talk about before we get into the big one, right, is the dinner party scene where Udo spills some wine on the kimono of someone who turns out to be an Easterner from the nation of Hizuru. Udo accidentally spills some wine on her kimono, and she covers it up for him to protect him from God knows what punishment the Marleyan, officials would come up with for him if they were like, oh, you spilled on a guest's kimono, you spilled some wine? Okay, Udo, time to die. I think this scene could be way more important than a lot of people realize, though, because I think it is a great example, this moment, of people out there being sympathetic to the Eldian race. The people at this dinner party are extraordinarily influential people who basically run their respective countries. If the Islanders can get an ally nation to side with them against the Marleyan government and Marley as a whole, like, my God, I mean, there goes the technological disadvantage that our Islanders have. That goes right out the gate. That, of course, brings us, though, to the biggest moment of this entire episode, where Reiner finally sees Eren for the first time in 4 years. To be honest, I want to make an entirely different video about this moment, because I talked about it in the Reiner breakdown video where I talked about Reiner's character, right? I talked about the potential for them meeting. I had no way of knowing it was going to happen literally next episode. But I do want to probably make an entirely separate video to talk about this scene alone, because the implications of it are so heavy and I have so many predictions and theories swirling through my head. Since Eren and Reiner are both underground as it stands right now, it limits their potential to transform, I think, so that is kind of off the table. Because of that, though, I have no idea how this is going to play out. I mean, we have seen all of the mental struggles Reiner has been going through and all the regret he feels to the point where he almost committed suicide last episode, right? So would he even have a feeling of wanting to stop Eren if Eren just straight up is like, yeah, I want to walk outside, transform, and kill a bunch of people. We cool, bro? Like, I don't know what Eren's game plan is in that front alone. Maybe he wants to talk no jutsu Reiner into submission and tell Reiner to kind of take a back seat while he kills the Marleyans. He wants to convince Reiner to join his side. I'm not exactly sure what the end game will be with this conversation from both of their perspectives, which is why I want to make a separate video kind of analyzing what potentially this could lead to and the implications it could have for their characters as a whole. But will Reiner put up a fight? Will he just kind of sit there and grovel? Because, man, we know this man does not want to fight anymore. I know it's going to be hard to wait an extra week, everyone, but that's exactly why I'm making a crap ton of AOT content coming up. We're going to be talking about these, specific scenes like that Eren and Reiner scene I want to talk about and break down specifically, because there are probably going to be a lot of parallels to their discussion in Season 2. And look, I mean, it's also just because I got to stay in AOT. I love it so much, and I just want to keep making content. So hope you guys are ready for a bunch of AOT stuff coming to you soon. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. Really appreciate it. See you in the next vid.